Steve, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing okay. How do you feel?
Well, I feel better than some of the guys you got working for you. I hear you.
Yeah.
One of your guys got a hernia.
Yeah. Well, it's a double hernia. Double hernia. Yeah.
So since you're doing sports talk radio,
Yeah.
is it a sports hernia or a non-sports hernia?
Well, he doesn't do sports, so it's kind of hard to get a sports hernia.
I mean, stranger things have happened.
Yeah, he's not an athlete, though.
Yeah, that's true. But you know what they say. The moon shines on the dogs behind. For what?
How long would you be out with a sports hernia?
Off season or in season?
In season.
In season, man, one of those is hard to play with. But generally, probably 2 to 3 weeks. Off season, they probably let you try to let it heal fully, so 6 to 8.
What's the worst?
But he's not an athlete, so he's probably he may be out for he may be unable to function for probably 4 months.
What's the worst injury you played through during a season?
Splitting the web of my finger.
Oh, God.
And playing wide receiver, that's kind of tough.
They sewed it up, and then you just had it bandaged?
Yes.
And what, did Flacco throw it too hard?
Actually, it was James. I call him James, but Jimmy Clausen.
Jimmy Clausen roughed you up.
It was actually it just hit at the right spot. It split and taped it up and put a little pad on there and sat out a day and a half, 2 days, and I was back at it.
Who's the guy that when you're across from him, you know that it's just going to be physical the entire game? It's going to be two guys who are just...
Yeah. Actually, it varies. In my age, I get a lot of these young guys who, tell me how old I am. They obviously, defense coordinator has told them what kind of player I am, so they tell me I'm not sure why the defense coordinator. They say, I don't know what all the hoopla is about. You're not that good, you're old, and all that stuff. A lot of older players, like when me and Patrick, or even like Maxwell yesterday, some of these guys, we go against each other. They understand. Look, on run plays, it can be extracurricular, or we can be kosher. We can play nice. And for the most part, most guys, man, they want to get blocked, and they want to keep it cool because they don't want to be being shown getting smushed on television.
When's the last time you had extracurricular?
Which year?
Oh, this season? Have you had extracurricular with the defensive back?
Well, no, just the thing is, man, I just block the guys. I go in there because there's an expectation I got to block. The wide receivers have to make the running game go. There's times where they have nosy safeties. So if you get a nosy safety, I got to come down there and crack the safety. I had a guy one time come down. First 2 plays, we ran it, and I had to go hit the safety, and he said, I'll be here all day. We went 3 straight plays where I had to crack the safety. By the 4th time, he was looking at me. And that lets me know he's not going to be here all day because that's not what he's expecting. So it's always good. Whenever I feel like when I'm playing a defender, if I make him think, that means he stops his feet. If he stops his feet, that means I'm a step, 2 steps ahead of him, which puts him at a disadvantage.
You've been in the league 15 years. The difference in how you were hit first 2 or 3 years as opposed to how guys tackled now is what?
That's interesting because I've been hit hard a number of years. But I think when I first came in the league, I remember we were playing against Otis Smith hit me. He was a cornerback for the New England Patriots. We were running a play called sprint right option. Chris Winkie was the quarterback. We ran a sprint right. Chris Winkie threw the ball. The next thing I remember, I was looking up at the sky. So I think the difference that I've learned, the guys are, I don't believe that players are stronger and faster. You know, you hear people say that. But when you go back and think about it, you don't see a lot of, Javon Curse was a freak. Do you see a lot of Javon Curse out there, 6'7", the way he was, the way he can jump and run?
Mm-hmm.
You know, they're not bigger than Javon Curse. They have hybrid linebackers. They have more mobile quarterbacks, but they're not bigger and faster. Maybe a guy that was Javon Curse type is playing quarterback versus DN. You know, he's 260 pounds. Playing quarterback versus a guy playing DN that can jump out the gym. I think that's the difference.
He's Steve Smith, the Ravens wide receiver. Whenever your name is brought up during a game, your age, it feels like, is always brought up.
Yeah, I don't understand. They don't say, they don't talk about other players and say, 24 years old.
Well, they might do that with Odell Beckham to remind you how young he is, but it feels like whenever your name is mentioned, it's 37-year-old Steve Smith.
Yeah.
Are you proud of it, or does it bother you?
I guess it depends on which way it's addressed, and brought up. If you're saying that you can't depend on a 37-year-old wide receiver to help to rely on him to play, my question is, why not? Why can't you depend on a 37-year-old the same way you could depend on a 27-year-old? What's the difference?
You have the Patriots next Monday night. Would you ask Brady for a jersey, or have you ever done that after a game?
I really don't. I'm not a big fan of the jersey exchange. I know in Europe, and I'm a huge soccer fan, they do it, and then the young guys are doing it. But I've had guys sometimes ask me for my jersey on teams that in a nice way. I'm not necessarily sure I want your jersey. So I try to do, especially, with these years that are coming up, I just don't really want to give out my jersey because, I'm going to have grandkids. My oldest is 19. I got my boys. They still look up to dad. So, I want to keep some of that stuff for them as well.
What if Brady, after Monday night, said, hey, Steve, you want to exchange jerseys?
I doubt if he would do that, but with a Tom Brady, a Drew Brees, some of those guys, of course. But if you're talking about a guy who's a gunner on special teams, I'm not trading my jersey with you. I'm just going to be honest. And some people may hear this and go, he's a jerk. I mean, hey, you're not if you're working in a big company and it has a mailroom and you have a good parking spot, you're not going to trade parking spots with a guy in the mailroom just to be nice, and he's all the way on the other side of the campus of work.
Yeah.
You're like, nah, I'm straight. I appreciate you delivering my mail to my box, but I don't really want your spot.
Have you ever done stand-up comedy?
No, I don't. My wife says I'm funny. Just the things I say because I say it so sincere. But I'm not trying to be funny.
You could come out. These comedians who come, like Chris Rock comes on stage and he just kind of, pouncing. He's ready to pounce on everybody. He's just on the prowl when he's out there. You could do that. Get on stage, just start firing away, man. Get Kevin Hart to help you. Kevin Hart to help you write 15 minutes of stand-up. You could do it.
That'd be good. That'd be awesome. I'm not that comfortable with it.
No, I think you'd do fine. Hey,
I'll be terrible.
He's the 37-year-old Steve Smith, and I mean that in a good way. He's over 1,000. You haven't decided about next year, right?
Yeah, I've decided.
You're coming back?
No.
Yeah?
No.
No, you're done.
Man, what I'm trying to do is enjoy these last 4 games.
Well, I'll see you during the highlights next season, Steve. Thank you, bud. Have a good week.
I
Thank you,
appreciate
Steve. All right, that's Steve Smith, Ravens wide receiver.
The Dan Patrick Show, weekday mornings on Audience.